anti-side piece, anti-mistress. Don't expect your guy that you know you're sleeping with extramaritally to have the same kind of regard for you as he has for his wife. Don't. You put yourself in that position. Yeah, you can make a choice to excuse, but I mean, manage your expectations accordingly, right?
Love and relationship.
Ebun in the building again. Ebun in the building again. Ebun in the building. Hello, guys. Yeah. Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Life, Love, and Relationships. Today, we're going to be looking at gender parity. I'm always careful to use the word gender equality because there really isn't. We can't really say there's equality, but that's something that is up for debate, right? So we're going to be looking at gender parity in economic terms, right? And but also how it affects or gender parity also in relationships. Yeah. So Ebun, welcome again. I want you to introduce yourself with respect to your career, what you really do.
Right. Okay. So my name is Ebun Mesaiyete. I am a consultant. However, I provide advisory services to financial institutions or government agencies as it relates to infrastructure development and financing. So I started this, my career is about 17 years old now. I started as a trainee analyst and moved on from the different roles into making the choice to now become like an embedded advisor for hire. So what I tend to do is I take contracts that's a year, 2 years with financial institutions or government agencies that have a particular thing they want to do around a piece of infrastructure or type of project. Right. So Oluwakemi and I we've known each other since secondary school. So she knew me before all this English I've been speaking. So when we meet,
talk about finish.
Exactly. That finish is next level. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, Ebun, and sure. Beautiful introduction. So when you think about gender, and I want you to also, tie economic, when we talk about gender parity with respect to the career world, I want you to also tie it to, but basically relationships. Okay. What comes to mind when you hear gender parity in relationships?
Relationships. Yeah. Okay, so full disclosure, I'm single by choice. So I can't be this fine and people are not
but my friend is fine and fly. Hot budget.
Calm down. But I'm single. So
I can only be like this with my friends. I'm sure if I'm not single like this on other episodes.
So this relationship question that Oluwakemi has thrown me is hard for me to answer. So I would zoom out, not necessarily about romantic relationships, but maybe like relationships with other human beings. That's the experience that I have. So gender parity, I recognize that there is a richness that is present in both genders, male and female form, right? And both have value. Like some of the best thinking best debates I have are with men, right? But I know that if I need emotional support for someone, right, for something, maybe I get it best from a woman, right? So you need both. Or at least I need both. I need intellectual stimulation and I also need emotional support. So I know who to go to. There's something my mother says, you need to which finger you can put in your mouth. So even with my parents.
Your nose, you mean? Yeah.
Sorry, exactly. Finger in your nose. Thank you. So even with my parents, I know who to go to with each issue. We need both. So a balanced whole human being requires spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, all of that stimulation and support and growth. And so one gender tends to provide one type of thing more than others. So the presence of both are really important. So I don't want to, because when people say gender parity or equality, they tend heavily skew things towards the women, right? So
gender is about both.
Women are lacking something or need some. No, both have their role, both have their necessity. In fact, by design, you need both to make a fellow human being anyway. So so both have their role. So the relationships, so it's about value exchange, and the value you may get from one relationship may be different from another, but both necessary. And some genders may provide that more easily for you. Like I don't have to deal with men thinking as if I'm talking down to them. They actually enjoy the ask Ebun, she will challenge you. But I kind of get some kind of who is she, what does she think she is, or whatever. From some women, it's rare that I don't. Thankfully, I'm here because Oluwakemi doesn't treat me that way. but there are some other things that I get from women that I cannot get from a man. Like I need someone to think with about how to organize something and make it well executed. Women are fantastic organizers. My gosh, figuring out resources and how to deploy them. To go to a woman, she will sort you out. You understand? So it's just what you need and why. So that's the perspective I take into relationships across the board, that there's value from either, and just know who has more natural tendencies towards what you need. But because both are needed, you need both to be able to thrive. So I don't see any need to. The battle of the sexes has always baffled me. Women are more this, no, because the world cannot exist properly without both genders. The balance, like, it makes no sense. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you so much. I like the fact that you have looked at it from the point of view, from a broader view of relationships in general. Right, which is really beautiful, because if I'm to tie it back to relationships, the truth is, the expectation that one person can be everything to you is very unrealistic, and it will eventually frustrate you if you go that route. So I really love that you've tied it that way. I would also want you to look at it from the point of view of, thank God we're both Christians, submission in marriage, right? So now that the world is yielding, and for me, I would say very rightly so, to gender parity, because you and I, we cannot be colleagues just because you're a man, you're earning more, or we are doing the same. Our deliverables are not necessarily different, but you understand. So, in marriage, what do you think? If so, tie it to submission, tie it to. Do you think relationships or marriages are improving with respect to gender parity, or it is adversely affecting? Or you can have both views.
Let me. So full disclosure, I am single. I said that already.
Oh, please.
So my perspective here is about marriage is textbook, and maybe like an observer looking in. Right?
I disagree with you. No,
I want to qualify my.
I disagree with you, Ebun. I would share something with you. I disagree.
I've lost my train of thought now.
Yes, please lose your train of thought. But I disagree because you keep going back to that space where you're saying that because you're not married, your idea is textbook. No, you have a beautiful self relationship.
I do.
And
I really love myself.
Yes, you have a beautiful self relationship, self understanding, self awareness, self acceptance, all of those. And even if you think that you're not married, and then maybe your advice may be limited because it's not necessarily experiential, the truth is the foundation of a good marriage is also the strength of your relationship with yourself, because that's what you're going to project on your significant other. So I completely disagree with you, because I know that you have a beautiful self relationship, and then it's easy for you to project that on others. So it's easy for us to have this beautiful relationship that we have because of what you first have.
I accept that, and I take that. All right, so repeat your question, because I cannot remember the question. Your question
so again. My question is, what is your view on gender parity with respect to relation? Yes, you've talked a lot about relationships, which I really love, but also within the marriage, right?
Okay.
And
submission. I can remember.
Yes, submission. You can argue for or against, and you can even argue for both. What is the impact of gender parity in today's world on marriage? Has it improved? So, do you think the quality of our marriages have been strengthened by that, or it has worsened it?
Okay, so let me zoom out again and say, I'm not giving the caveat anymore. She has warned me, I'm not giving caveats anymore, but it's important to zoom out. I think it's difficult to discuss parity or equality or whatever label you give it without discussing justice. Right?
Fairness.
Justice, exactly.
Is justice different from fairness, or do you think it goes...
I'm coming, but justice is the word, because I've chosen justice because justice from the perspective of what each person deserves as a human being. So there's fundamental justice for a human being, their right to live, their right to access to their dreams, right? Then there is justice within the interaction. So you have given a lot, and I have given nothing, or I have taken whatever it is. So what is that exchange? So if you're operating from a sense of justice, fairness may be difficult to, I don't know, but fairness may be
fairness
hard.
Is always relative.
Fairness is here, but justice is that justice is a stronger foundation for me, because I think it's more about you don't take so much that you drain it and leave it completely empty. You get what I mean? Fairness may be about a division of parts or something, but if I have a lot, is it fair for Oluwakemi and I to share something equally if I have a lot more than her? So that's why fairness is the thing. But even if I have a lot, right, justice underpinning it for me is that in our exchange, there's something I'm getting from Oluwakemi that may not be equally divided or divisible, but I feel as if she's returning value from me. That's why I'm trying to separate.
Beautiful.
This is not semantics. I'm explaining what I think. But that was the question I was asking.
But I love
so if it's difficult for you to go about gender parity without having a strong sense of justice. So if somebody's work is valued a certain way, right, and that person's work is valuable, right, regardless of the body in which they were born, male or female, right? Your sense of justice means that you should qualify that work, male or female, whether it comes from male or female, they understand accordingly and then reward it accordingly. Do you see what I mean? So it's difficult for me to detach parity and equality from justice. That's from the submission role. It's funny how we quote submission, but we don't quote the first part. Husbands love your wife.
It is even submission to one another.
Love your wife, right? The way Christ loved the church, right? So Christ did everything. He showed example. He died, was humiliated publicly. Oga, husband, asking for submission. Are you ready to do that?
Can you even do it?
Now, submission. What I'm learning about submission is a choice, right? One of the mistakes that people have made is that they say maybe women are maybe subservient to men. I don't think so. I think everybody has their natural role. Personal, it's like I've said that already, so let me not repeat. But it's also the recognition that women are not supposed to submit to all men, just one.
Thank you.
So excuse me, we in the office. I'm not your wife.
Yes, so the jurisdiction you have over your wife.
Don't have those. Don't have those expectations of me. Don't. It makes no sense, right?
Why am I being so naughty today?
Wait, Joe. So I'm going to answer your question, madam. So submission, right, is within the submission, and that kind of self-sacrificing love is within the marriage context. So anti side piece, anti mistress. Don't expect your Oga that you know you're sleeping with extramaritally to have the same kind of regard for you as he has for his wife. Don't. You put yourself in that position. Yeah, you can make a choice to excuse, but I mean, manage expectations accordingly, right? Now, submission is a choice because it is somebody needs to lead in a particular. Somebody needs to lead. Submission is also not application. The fact that somebody is leading does not mean that you get to check your brain out, check your resources out, check your participation out. If there's no follower, there's no exactly. If there's no follower, there's no leader without followership, right? And leading. We think that leading is not always about being the first or the right, or being the first, the right, or whatever. It just means that ultimately the responsibility for this household or this endeavor finally rests on this person's shoulders. But if this is somebody, if you are in a relationship with someone you love and value, why do you want them to carry everything by themselves? So back to the justice thing. Like if you are really interested in giving and receiving value, you have a good sense of justice. Why would you expect somebody that you love to carry everything, right? So respecting. So I think submission is really about respecting this person, and so that's why as a woman, please don't marry someone. If you're not married, please don't marry someone you cannot submit to. Don't marry someone that cannot lead you. Don't do that.
If I'm not
if you're not, because the relationship dynamic with you and this person is not your typical. You've now chosen that ultimately the responsibility for at least both your lives is with this person. It doesn't mean that he has it right all together all the time or something. But if 70-80% of the time you are questioning every single thing, don't you're not ready. Don't let this man lead you.
Can I come in? It's very instructive that you have said this. When I see Christian women kick against submission, I always go back to the basis, and I'm asking myself, the power of choice is what we have.
Exactly.
At the point that you're deciding this is the person you're marrying, it should be a key determining factor.
Can I follow this man?
Can I? Yes, because exactly. And the man is the hunter. He's looking for you. Go with let the hunter that will kill you. I don't mean literally, but you get what I mean. Like, let the one that will pick you and pick you be that one. You have the choice to say no.
No.
So it's just so instructive. Go with the man that you can follow his lead. Then submission becomes easy.
I don't know about okay. So submission for me has never really been easy. I'm struggling with submission.
No. Well, relatively, it becomes easier.
So I'm even saying that even God that is everything, right? So I'm struggling with understanding him and submitting to him. So that is also one of the reasons I've stated. Like, let's just know that. But understand the institution of marriage properly. Its place, the self-sacrificing nature of it, the man's role, the woman's role, and make your choice whether to enter it, but do it with your eyes fully open, with the person that you at least at that time, because life evolves and so on. But you don't have but at least even if you look back and say, I made the choice I made intentionally. It's not something you were forced to or something, but there's too much to do to be pressured or to go into it, right? But submission is linked to the ability of the person that is being submitted to lead, also to love. You get love self-sacrificially. So self-sacrificing love and submission. So the two are in tandem. They are two parts of a two-legged stool. You can't have one, the other one collapse. Sorry.
Thank you. So maybe two more questions before we round up.
Okay.
I would say, what would you say to today's man? Because I was writing an article on Father's Day. And I ended that article with, I can only imagine what it means to be a man in today's world. Because when like you said, the word justice, I mean, I use the word fairness, but the truth is to be, because when you look at these gender parity issues, especially in marriage, right, there's the expectation that men should still continue to play traditional roles of being a provider and all of that. But in addition to it today, we're saying they should also be a nurturer. They should also be emotionally available. These are roles that they did not necessarily take on before. You know, so we're asking for those listen and we're still expecting them to play those traditional roles. But we're also asking for more involvement on the parenting angle. So, you know, I really didn't know that was how the article was going to end. But as I wrote everything, it dawned on me that it's a bit lopsided. But also, I believe that women, we are rightfully in our space to demand for more. Right? I believe so, because
so my 2-minute nuggets that is not going to resolve a gender issue that
what will you say to a man?
Wait now. My 2-minute nugget is not going to resolve a gender issue that has been. But what I'm going to say to a man is this: because you know, economies, capitalism, etc. has made a single income household untenable, right? Most times it is a really rare, really rich, probably inherited household where only one person can work and the house is properly ordered. There is one. There's also the recognition that the woman with you now is a self-actualizing person as well. So even if it's not because of economics, there's a part of wholeness in her that desires expression beyond wifehood and motherhood. If you say you married somebody that you love, you kind of want her whole being to be fully formed. So back to this justice question. So like, if you can just settle like justice and God your heart, right? What do you want to be permitted for you? Why would you take it away from another human? The same way, right? So what that then means is you now make a choice that permits that, and that then means that the household economics for division, both physical and emotional division of labor, has to change. So if you did it for capital reasons, or you did it for psychological reasons, where your wife needs to
even emotional,
whatever your reasons, if you are accepting that you are a household where you are parenting, you are partnering with your spouse, and you are also leading lives that involve, you know, self-actualization in business, in work, then the household economics has to change, right? What that then also means is the woman has to have, you both have to have conversations around what roles you will now settle in both. What is naturally more hers than yours, but at the end of it should be balanced that your whole lives are carried fairly, whole lives, not each activity, but the activities that make up your whole lives, the sum total of your lives. The value exchange is still net positive between both of you. That's the general advice I'm going to give anyone, right? Trying to build or form a relationship. So I'm speaking to men, especially if you're a man that you knew your woman had certain ambitions. Don't be the person that clips her wings. That is cruel. You understand? That's somebody's child. If you had a daughter, how would you want her to be treated? Your sister, how would you want her to be treated? Did you respect your father for treating your mom that way? Do you see what I mean? So that's the answer I'm giving to men. If you have a sense of justice, right? Now they said they want the man to be much more emotionally available. Yes, because the women that are that self-actualizing know that the money that they can now put money on the table, right? So they need their man to be a bit more deep, to have more depth.
Something more you've got to offer.
They need their man to have more depth, right? And especially if she's carrying some of your financial load as well, then her expectations are also rising, right? So, let me now speak to women. And see, you cannot ask for God to put everything down, to do kinikon. No, you must also be realistic in your expectations as well. He is also a person. He also needs time and space to rest and so on. Which is why I'm saying the sum of your lives, right, has to be seen as mutually like net
Beneficial,
positive
yeah.
between the two of you. The value exchange should be net positive. Like for instance, if a woman has just had children, obviously she should spend more time with children. That is just nature's way. That one is a natural gender. That's a natural gender role. But by the time the child becomes able to ramble and run all over the place or whatever, does not need breast milk to survive anymore. You can't have. Let me put it this way: society seems to be this way because we exclude women from economic decisions, and we exclude men from human development decisions, and we lose the possibility of both. So we lose. Women have this tampering effect in economic decisions. So we are not so greedy. We're a bit more
frugal.
No. With economic decisions, women are not as greedy. They are not as amassing, or they don't treat everything like war. So these challenges
we're not combating.
Exactly. So these challenges we have with capitalism will be less if we had more women in space. But we also have people that are lost, struggling with identity, struggling with a sense of self-worth. But if people that made you have the time for you, fewer people are going to be questioning whether they are loved or valued. You see, and there's a way in which a man speaks to you about certain things. There's a firmness, there's a discipline that may come. So it's balancing firmness and discipline with the emotional intuitiveness.
And now you're asked to also be emotionally available.
Exactly. So I'm trying to say that you kind of need to make space for both. You don't get to put that and walk away, because the formal rules of I put the money down, you figure the rest out have now checked. The woman is saying I can put the money down. So the value you're adding to me is no longer about the money.
Just money, yeah.
It is about helping me raise a house. Otherwise, I could have stayed by myself. Helping me raise a house, helping me build a life that is fuller, more robust, with you in it.
Yeah.
So participate in the lives of your family. Participate in the lives of your children. Right? There's still some natural roles that will be fulfilled more easily and so on. But you don't get to excuse yourself from the conversation. Not anymore. Sorry.
You're going to speak to the women as well.
I think I'm sort of trying to do that. So with women, it's just don't put all the load on Oga and expect him to come back and have patience and time for you. You understand? So if you choose to be a stay-at-home mom, then that means that I think that may be the equivalent of that now. But if you're a career woman, this is like both of you just have conversations around. This is what's important to me. This is what's important to you. How do you build a life that permits that genuinely? So I don't know what else to tell anybody. So enter honesty, a sense of justice. Like there's a sense of justice, because so if someone is carrying you and himself, you want him to die. You too, you're carrying no now. And sometimes the load may be unevenly balanced because but it shouldn't be forever. No.
Yeah. Final question as we wrap up, please, is what would you say to today's woman who has this unrealistic, to a single woman in particular, the young girls of today who are aware of this gender parity issue, but they're still demanding more from the men? So I've heard things like single girls now, when a guy asks them out on a date, they say, oh, you have to buy the dress I will wear. You have to, and I'm wondering, this is the age that we're all clamoring for gender parity. Some girls are still asking men for that. There's no coco flow, you understand? Then my last question is a 2-in-1 question. Because of time, I want to take them. What would you say to those single girls? And how can you encourage men now to be vulnerable in a world that, this was something they didn't necessarily have to do. They're just the provider, but now women are asking for their emotional availability as well.
So Oluwakemi, more than anything, is back to the question of, like, why are you really dating this person? Like, what do you want to get out of it? You understand? If it's for fun and games stuff, if the man you want to play with is also ready to play with you on your terms, so your value exchange is clear between the two of you, realistically. But if it's somebody you want to build a life with, I'm going to ask you to check your expectations. Right? Now, if it's something that he naturally falls into and without issues, but realize that if you now begin to have other expectations about growing and becoming more and more of yourself, and you're like, so I'm saying that when your self-awareness improves, your behavior will also improve, right? That's something you want to be mindful of. But relationships that last are rarely one-sided. If you expect respect in the relationship,
you must respect as well.
You must respect yourself as well.
Sorry about that.
Exactly. And a big part of respecting yourself is not making demands that you can fulfill on your own. You understand? That's just a big part of self-respect. Yeah. So if you want respect to continue, just think and choose accordingly.
Thank you. The vulnerability for men. How do you advise men to handle
vulnerability
that?
For men, I really don't know. Like, no, I'm serious. Like, I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just, I think a man is the best person to give perspectives from their side.
Yeah,
So I know that you speak to men. So I'm like, I'm holding back because it's not something that I've sat down and thought about. But what I do recognize is, so this is an incentive for men to figure it out. What I do recognize is women tend to, especially women who are much more self-actualizing, who have self-confidence in themselves and their capacity to execute. They want much more emotionally stable partners, right? So learning that from, so it's difficult.
Or maybe also emotionally expressive, not just stability.
If you're stable emotionally, I guarantee it will come out.
You'll be expressive about your emotions. Okay.
Exactly, and in the right way. Because expression, if coming out as anger or your ability to pout, people forget that anger is also an emotion. So if it's coming out as anger, so like emotionally stable, then it's coming out much more respectful, wholesome ways. So just this is your incentive. Type of woman you probably are attracted to are intelligent, upwardly mobile, people on their way to something. So these women know that they can look after themselves. So they're not interested in a man just because he has money to give them. They're interested in who they can build their life with. So that's your incentive, that kind of woman you want to attract. So become the kind of man that should be interested in. But how you get there, I'm sorry. I'm not a man. It's difficult for me to give you advice on that.
But you've said enough. I mean, you've established that this is the current market, and then you need to attract that market.
It's up to you.
Right. Thank you guys. Thank you so much, Ebun, for coming. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute delight.
Do we get a hug kiss?
It is an
okay.
It's been an absolute delight sitting here and having this conversation with you, Ebun. Thank you. And it has been my absolute delight also serving you on this episode of Life, Love, and Relationships today. Till I see you next week, with all my love. Bye-bye.